Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Josh and you're watching our history. Today we're going over the first Chimurenga or second Matabele War that took place from 1896 to 1897 in what is now Zimbabwe. It involved the British South Africa Company and the Matabele people, ultimately causing tension with the Shona people in southern Rhodesia. So if you enjoy this, please be sure to like, and if you're new here, consider smashing the subscribe button. If this isn't your first rodeo and you haven't shown some love to the subscribe, now is your opportunity. Thank you for watching. The first Chimurenga or second Matabele War. In March 1896, the Matabele people rose up against the British South Africa Company's authority. This revolt was largely fueled by the influence of the Mlimo, the spiritual leader of the Matabele. The Mlimo successfully convinced both the Matabele and the Shona people that the settlers, who were numbered around 4,000 at the time, were to blame for various hardships experienced in the country. These hardships included a severe drought, frequent locust plagues, and the rampant spread of a devastating cattle disease called rinderpest. The timing of Mlimo's call to battle proved to be strategic. The British South Africa Company's Administrator General, Leander Starr Jameson, had recently deployed a significant portion of his troops and armaments for the unsuccessful Jameson raid against the Transvaal Republic. This left Matabeleland vulnerable and lacking in defense. In response, the British swiftly dispatched their own troops to quell the uprising, resulting in a significant loss of lives on both sides. It took several months for the British forces to regain strength and successfully break the sieges, leading to a prolonged conflict that lasted until October of the subsequent year. The War in Matabeleland. Rebellion. Mlimo devised a strategic plan to overthrow the settlers in Bulawayo during the night of the 29th of March. By waiting until the first full moon, the Mlimo aimed to take the settlers by surprise after the big dance ceremony. He assured his followers that the bullets of the settlers would magically transform into water and their cannon shells into eggs if they went to war. His intention was not to destroy the town itself, but to eliminate all settlers, while preserving Bulawayo as the royal kraal for the future King Lobengula. The Mlimo commanded his warriors to drive all the settlers out through the unguarded Mangwe Pass, situated in the Matabele Hills. Following the purge of Bulawayo, the Matabele and Shona warriors were to continue their violent campaign until all settlers were either killed or forced to flee the country. Some young Matabele individuals displayed an eagerness to engage in warfare, leading to the premature start of the rebellion. It was on the 20th of March that Matabele rebels committed a violent act, shooting and stabbing a native policeman. In the following days, additional settlers and prospectors in outlying areas were killed. Notably, Frederick Salu, a renowned big game hunter, had been aware of rumors about the killings of settlers but assumed it was a localized issue. However, upon learning of the policeman's murder on the 23rd of March, Salu realized that the Matabele Rebellion had begun on a large scale. Approximately 2,000 Matabele warriors initiated the rebellion, which led to significant violence and destruction in the region. Many young native police officers abandoned their posts to join the rebels. The Matabele, armed with various weapons like rifles, repeaters, and traditional African weapons, ventured into the countryside. As the news of the uprising spread, the Shona people also joined the fighting. The settlers in the area began to move towards Bulawayo for safety. Within a week, the rebellion resulted in the killing of 141 settlers in Matabeleland, another 103 in Mashonaland, and numerous homes, ranches, and mines were set ablaze. Tragic incidents like the mutilation and murder of Miss Fourie and her children, as well as the killing of 2 young men from the Ross family, highlighted the brutal nature of the rebellion. Siege of Bulawayo. In order to protect themselves with limited resources, the settlers in Bulawayo quickly constructed a defensive structure known as a laager, using sandbagged wagons. To further fortify their position, barbed wire was added to the defenses, and oil-soaked faggots were strategically placed to counter night attacks. Additionally, they strategically positioned blasting gelatin in outlying buildings beyond the defense perimeter, which could be detonated if the enemy occupied them. As a deterrent, smashed glass bottles were spread around the front of the wagons. Although firearms were scarce, the settlers did possess a small arsenal of working artillery pieces and limited selection of machine guns. The settlers took proactive measures to protect themselves by forming patrols known as the Bulawayo Field Force, under the leadership of individuals like Salou and Frederick Russell Burnham. These patrols actively searched for surviving settlers in the countryside, while also launching attacks on the Matabele people. Salou, for example, assembled a mounted troop of 40 men to undertake scouting missions in the Matabele Hills. Another group, led by Maurice Gifford and consisting of 40 men, patrolled along the Souza River. Whenever settlers were found, they were swiftly transported to Bulawayo while being closely guarded. Unfortunately, the initial week of fighting, the Bulawayo Field Force suffered 20 fatalities and 50 injuries. During the First Matabele War, the Matabele warriors refrained from launching a significant attack on Bulawayo due to their knowledge of the settlers' powerful Maxim guns. Despite the presence of over 10,000 Matabele warriors near the town, they did not risk an assault. However, conditions within Bulawayo quickly deteriorated. Settlers had the freedom to move within the town during the day, but were forced to seek shelter in the smaller laager at night. The city became overcrowded with nearly 1,000 women and children, and false attack alarms were frequent. The Matabele made a crucial mistake by neglecting to sever the telegraph lines connecting Bulawayo to Mafeking, which provided valuable information to both the relief forces and the besieged Bulawayo Field Force. During the siege, multiple relief columns were organized to provide assistance to the besieged city of Bulawayo. However, due to the hostile countryside, it took several months for the columns to reach their destination. In late May, 2 relief columns arrived near Bulawayo from opposite directions. Cecil Rhodes and Colonel Beale arrived from Salisbury and Fort Victoria, approximately 300 miles to the north, while Lord Grey and Colonel Plumer arrived from Kimberley and Mafeking, around 600 miles to the south. The southern relief forces faced a potential ambush, but thanks to Salou discovering the Matabele's whereabouts, the attacks were driven back by the Maxim guns for the relief forces. Shortly after, General Frederick Carrington assumed overall command in Bulawayo, supported by his Chief of Staff, Colonel Baden-Powell. After the siege was broken, around 50,000 Matabele warriors withdrew into the Matabele Hills near Bulawayo, establishing it as their stronghold. This area witnessed intense and fierce clashes between the settler patrols and the Matabele forces. In June, the Shona people upheld their commitment and allied with the Matabele, contributing to the conflict. However, due to the absence of a prominent leader like Mlimo, the Shonas primarily remained within their fortifications and carried out limited raids. If you made it this far, I hope you're really enjoying this channel, and if you'd like to support the creation of more content like this, because all contributions are greatly appreciated, consider joining the channel in the membership tab or check out the Patreon link in the description below.